So REA auctions ended last night, and they had a ton of awesome non-sports cards. Now, there's 4 lots that I ended up bidding on, and unfortunately, I did only take home 1. I shouldn't say unfortunately though, because that 1 card I've been searching for a very long time, and was probably a top 5 to top 10 card that I wanted to have in my own personal collection. So I'm gonna jump on my computer right now and let's talk about some of these sales. All right, so the top sale for this auction is going to be this 1951 Bowman Jets, Rockets, and Spacemen. So let's take a look at this. I'm not too familiar with some of the different Bowman non-sports releases in the 50s. It's just a little bit outside my realm of what I personally collect, because I prefer historical figures and also more rock and roll type music cards. But first, we can take a look at the 8.37 GPA. It talks about the number 2 set in the registry. So there's a few things that could have happened with this instance of why it hit 16.8. And again, just estimates. Someone has the number 1 set and they want to increase a few of their cards. Let's say they had some 7s or 8s. They wanted to increase to some 10s. I would assume like some of these 10s are going to be the only ones on those pop reports, or someone's going to break this up. But seeing a 10 and a 9 already from 1951, not the easiest cards to gem. Another 9 over here, 9. Like, it's seriously impressive. I couldn't tell you what the short prints are in this set, if there are any, or like really tough cards. But you can see some of the imagery over here. This does have a qualifier in there, but lots of 8.5s mixture over here. It looks, these are like all old labels too. And let's see if we can find a back picture. Any of these specific backs. I don't think they're showing it, unfortunately. But I will go through all these. Let's see if there's anything over here. So there's 2 10s, and with 9 there are 5, which is pretty impressive, and then 1 5 over here. So number 53, 35 of these copies, the highest PSA graded example. Wow. So if number 1 got this set, they're going to definitely have a number 1 set for a very long time, and then they could sell their dupes or also build out set number 2 or 3, which some people in the registry do. Be no surprise, 1940 Superman number 1. This card has continued to go up over the years. We can take a look at some comps on this one too, if I really wanted to. I'll just go to VCP and see what this has sold for a little bit in the past. I know people wanted to see a little bit more information on sales, so I will occasionally do that. And this is R145, I believe. Yeah, it is R145. So card number 1 makes things really easy. So we can see 3 over here. The last 3 sold in 2022 for $7,800. I wonder if that's the same cert. That's 616. No, this is 789. But then we also had another 3 in 2021 for $4,500. So I mean, this thing is doubled essentially. I don't know what the centering of that one looks like. Oh, that 3 is way poor. That would not get a 3 today. Let's see this one. This sold for $5,500. Little nicer. Oh, I think this is a lot stronger of a 3 than the ones that I see on there. But still commanded a very strong price. You can see it's well above the last comps on those, even being in 2022 or 21. And you can look back, like all the way back in 19, this card sold for $600. So seeing a great increase in demand for this card as well as its price. We have some more Supermans over here. We have 78 across the board. This sold for $8,700. Looks like a lot of mid-grade copies. Let's see what it says over here. A near complete low number run 1 through 48. So I assume they're missing number 1. Number 1 and 35 over here. Some 5s, 6s, and there's others as well. You can see those side of things. A few different collectors I know are either building out the set or just want some of the different singles. And I will say, and I don't know comics, I think this stuff's a way better buy than a lot of this 1990s like Marvel's junk wax cards that go for a couple $100. Much rather have a 1940 Superman, but it's not stuff I personally collect. We have a Pokemon. I'm not going to cover Pokemon. Mars Attack, very popular set. We have over here, complete set 55. It doesn't say the registry ranking, but it says a composite. Let's see. Oh, some 7s, 6s, and also 5s. The Invasion Begins over here. What did that get? 5. Pretty cool set. Classics. Civil War News. Again, Mars Attack #1. This 7 sold for $5,300. So second most expensive single over here. 1935. Film Funnies. I'm actually not too familiar with this set. This kind of looks like that Mickey Mouse set from 35 as well. This actually sold pretty high. This sold for what, $3,000? And it was a partial set of 18. I need to learn a little bit more about that. If you know, let me know. This was one of the first ones that I actually lost on. So I bid, I want to say I bid up to 16 or 1700 on this side of things. So this Lincoln is sold like 3 or 4 times since 2015. Like, it's not the easiest Lincoln card to come across. That's an old grade, right? This is not a 1.5 today. This is straight up 1. And then we have the Grant over here. I want to say in the vintage non-sports auction, was it Garfield that sold for like $200 or $300? So I thought Lincoln had a good shot at going for like 1,000 to 2,000. Grant is about a third to a half sometimes of Lincoln. It just depends on the set. So I was hoping to snipe this at like anywhere from like 1,500 to 2,000, but it just kept going up. And the one card I ended up buying a little bit later kind of ran out of room of what I needed to purchase. But just to show you the backs of these two. And it's just not presidents in this set. There's actually a lot of non-sports figures in here. But these backs are really cool. So Seal of North Carolina, Plug Cut Tobacco. You can see that. And I'll just show you really quick here on VCP as well. So I go here to Lincoln. And I'll just go to player name if it loads. Their search takes forever. So Abraham Lincoln. And then this is an 1888 set. Again, not an easy card to find. That's another one I wanted a little bit. Marburg, here we go. So 2017 is the only one that shows up in here, and this sold for $600, but this was at 2.5. So a nice, well-deserved jump, although this did have a big crease here. So that 2.5 should really be like a 1.5, but this presents way nicer. But again, it's not the easiest to find. You can see about 6 years since that last sale. Just some Garbage Pail Kids. Covered it a few times over here. 1953, Luziette Star, full set, 2,800. Now, this was the card I ended up winning. So this is the Thomas Edison SF Hess. So I want to say this is Edison's rarest card or second rarest. There's a little bit of a debate between this and also the Lone Jack Inventor. There's a slightly more Lone Jack Inventors out there, and that's the set I'm building. I think there's 5 Lone Jack Inventors, and there's 3 of this Hess Edison. And I know the 2 other owners. One of the other owners has a YouTube channel, Enough Said Cards. He actually picked up his copy here at the National this year. And man, when he bought that copy, I was like, I was kind of sad, but I was also happy at the same time because I wanted this Edison for a while. And being a Pop 3, I already knew the other owner at the time. I'm like, man, there's one out there. It's so tough to find a card like when it's a Pop 3, and especially when you know 2 of the owners. This came up for auction, and I was like, I have to win this card because if I don't win this card, the other 2 are locked away for a while. There would be no shot. So I bid to win. I told myself I need to win this card, and I set a very high limit where I'd be at, and I stayed up super late to win this. But this is a 3, which I think is the highest graded. I think there's 2 3s and then also a 1 on it. So Hess is interesting because it has baseball players and then there's also boxers in here. But I want to say that the non-sports is the scarcest out of all of them. I could be wrong on that, but you just don't see that many Hess non-sports. This is a pretty clean back. Some of these do have paper loss and stuff like that from being in albums. But overall, $2,760. Now, the last time this exact card sold was all the way back in 2010. And you can see this really quick. We'll go to set name. And it's in, is it this one? No, it's a 332. Let me go back over here. Grab that. All right, so we have the 332 over here. Awesome. So you can see this exact copy, right? I want to think it's the same exact copy, or it could be wrong. This is, it says a little bit of paper loss here. Actually, it's a different copy. So this is the other one that I know that I actually know the owner of this one, but this sold all the way back in 2010 for $750. And this is my copy over here. So 4X over 13 years. And looking at this 2020 comp, I think it was kind of an outlier. I'm not sure why it went so cheap at $300. This card itself did sell at the National. Enough said cards picked it up, and I would have paid exactly what he paid at that time. So, but this is the one that has a little bit of paper loss here on the back. And yeah, so that is one of my grails. I know that term gets thrown around there all the time. Also, kind of the reason why too, I really wanted this Edison card is back in college. I actually studied electrical engineering. That is my major. I know I'm in data now, but that's originally where we went to. So Edison is kind of like that big name on the electronics side of things, and also kind of like engineering and entrepreneurship. Edison was a better entrepreneur than I think an engineer personally. And I think that's where he gets a lot of critiques, because people will talk about him versus Tesla, where Tesla is more of a pure engineer. Edison was more of that entrepreneur. All right, let's keep going through. We have the 1930 British American tobacco. For some of these people, like, you might be thinking that these are the Allen and Ginters. Big pet peeve is not showing the backs of these. I wish REA did a better job at showing backs of cards. But I did see a lot of these actually when I went overseas. I wouldn't say a lot, but a decent amount. Actually, it says this is a blank back set over here. Some of these do have specific backs associated with them. And I wonder if I can just show you these really quick on eBay. All right, so here's a copy. And this is what the back looks like. It's completely different than what you would think of the Allen Ginter, although the front is very similar in design. All right, so we have some Star Wars cello packs over here. 100 packs, $2,400. This might be this might do well at like a card shop, or even like if you set up at Star Wars conventions, which I think would be a thing. I don't know Star Wars cards, so I couldn't really talk too much about this. Lone Ranger, this individual pack, $2,400. This was another one that I almost bid on, and I think this actually sold pretty cheap at $2,100. These N51s barely go out in auction. They're very, very scarce. And these were the first ever tobacco cards with presidents featured on them. So there's one graded A's over here. But the two big cards in here were this Andrew Jackson and then also the Thomas Jefferson. John Quincy Adams doesn't sell that great. And then Polk, Harrison, and Zachary Taylor. So my goal, and this was assuming if the Hess Edison went cheaper, was to buy this lot, keep the Andrew Jackson, keep the Jefferson, and then sell others. I think if I sold the commons, I would probably get about $200 to $300 a piece. So that's why I think this is kind of cheap, because Andrew Jackson and Jefferson would go for more. I think realistically, the Jefferson right now is probably a 500 to like maybe 1,000. I know it is quite faded, and I can't see the back. I don't know if these have the full backs intact or if they have paper loss. Which, well, actually, I can see these right over here. Let's see. Oh, these have full backs intact. Okay, it looks like there's some writing on them. That one has paper loss. And these doesn't matter too much. But you can see the backs on these. So very plain backs. I have the Lincoln on this set, but the back's been removed, the card's been trimmed, so I don't know if it'll be able to get graded. I'm going to try it one day. But going back to what I was saying, I think this Jefferson could go anywhere from 500 to 1,000. I think the Jackson is probably about 300 to 500, if not more. Commons are probably at least $200 to $300 a pop. So there's some money to be made here if someone ended up buying this and splitting it up. And if you did buy this, I am interested in that Jefferson or Andrew Jackson. We could possibly work out a deal on those with some trade. All right, another one that I ended up losing. 1929 Document Sun Star Player Candy. Now, Star Player Candy is very expensive. Some of the baseball cards sold for $20,000. I wanted it for this Amelia Earhart card. It talks about her playing. This is the first instance I want to say of Amelia Earhart, and it's a very tough set. I stopped bidding at 900 before buyer's premium, so about 1,100 in general. I really thought I was going to win this set over here, but this sold for $2,000, which I don't know. Like, it's tough to say. I don't know what the commons would do, and I'm sure someone's going to do really well on this set. I think you could probably sell the commons at least $25 to $50 a piece. I don't know how easy it would be. But this also has Charles Lindbergh, I'd like to say. Let's see. I have to move my head around. I'm pretty sure Charles Lindbergh would be in here. So look for Pride of St. Louis, or Spirit of St. Louis. There we go. So Lindbergh is technically in here too. So $2,000. Like aviation card wise, and I'm not talking about like the inventor's side with the Wright brothers. Earhart and Lindbergh are going to be kind of like number 1 and 2 over there. So Lindbergh has some expensive cards, but nowhere near the $1,000 mark, except for his Chickle, which I think an 8 would probably be about $1,000. I think the last Chickle 8 of Earhart did $1,500 or $2,000. Usually they're about $1,000 range. So some pretty strong sales on this one. Although this is way tougher to find than that Chickle card in 1934. And it's also earlier. Beverly Hillbillies. I believe that was a TV show. Someone commented about this before. Topps Maya. Not too familiar with that one. Star Wars box again. This I actually like quite a lot. And this sold way higher than I thought. But I don't know the scarcity of it. So I have quite a lot of cards from the set. You can see what the original pack looks like, which I've never seen actually one of these. And this does not have the rarer back. There's 2 different types of backs that you could find too. This is the common back on here, but I think this is a really cool piece of memorabilia. Or not memorabilia, but a really cool pack. Then we have Batman over here. I do want to talk about this one. I saw this after the auction. I think this one really cheap. So first we have this Babe Ruth, and like taking a look at the Ruth, it looks very clean. This Ruth alone is probably $600-700 in this shape. So then we're talking about 134 cards for $800. We have a lot of 8s and stuff like that. So Galileo and also Madame Curie. And then we have all of these mid-grades and stuff like that. So you're talking about like for $800 for 134 cards. I mean, even at $10 a card, that's $1,300. Like this sold very, very cheap. And unfortunately, I missed this slot. But I think someone got a very good deal. And also, oh man, it has Rembrandt as well. That's a $200-300 card. So maybe not in that shape because it looks like the bottom's gone. Well, not trimmed, but just way off centered. But either way, someone got a very good deal at $1,500 on this one after buyer's premium. Some Kiss cards. Might have sell a bump because their last concert wasn't yesterday. I think it was Saturday night. 1957 Barrett, Disney, Panini, Star Wars, ABBA cards, unopened. Actually, that kind of surprised me. $1,300 for an ABBA. Their rookie card doesn't even go for like $100 or $200, which shocks me. Wow, that's a high sale, but I know there's people that do collect packs, but for $1,300 when their rookies don't. All right, something to keep an eye out for. 1910 Silks. I'm not the biggest fan of Silks, but I do appreciate the imagery on here. Let's see some other stuff over here. Disney 1170. That's kind of common. Leaders of Men. Very common set overseas, but it is popular here in the US. Horrors of War. Very cool set imagery-wise. This one I actually want to talk about. There's a little controversy in one of the non-sports groups over this. My members ended up selling a 1 or 1.5 or 2. I don't remember. Like a low-grade copy of this for $1,000, and someone said it was overpriced. Look what the 2 sold for. Like $1,100, right on the dot. So non-sports, there's not a lot of comps. Sometimes you just have to go by intuition or what you think it would go for. And I think this is a really cool card. Personally, I don't know if it's for me because of how large the slab is and how large the card is itself, but I really do like it. And I want to say with like the vintage non-sports auctions, there was Niagara Falls from the set that also sold, but you can watch that video if you want to check it out and what it did. Star Trek cards, Civil War, more Civil War. This is the Rembrandt over here. 7 sold for $930. Still think this card's way overrated. He has so many earlier cards that are tougher to find. His Ogden I would put way above in scarcity level than his Look and See. His Ogden took me forever to find. Here, Lost in Space, Star Wars 1 through 5 complete set. Which I guess depending on the condition, some stuff could be there. Tops Wings, Outer Limits. And if I'm missing anything that's like really cool, let me know in the comments so I can learn and also talk about it. Beatles test issue. This is new to me. I didn't even see this with the auction. Beatles are happening. USA wants you to stay. Huh. Collection of 13. I flip for George, Paul. Let's read this description. 13 rare test issue from the Beatles. I've never seen these before. Like, Beatles had a ton of 1964 cards from Topps. Never seen this test issue. I didn't even know it existed. Interesting. Something I have to keep an eye out now. I can't remember if this was one of those I was just going to bid on and didn't. Robert Lincoln, Chester Arthur, Hayes. 2 presidents. Yeah, I wasn't going to bid on this one specifically. But you can see what this sold for. $840. But the high grades rate. You have a 3, 5, and a 3. Indian Gum. Could have been a good deal. It depends on the shape. And there's some of these that are short prints that go for a very high premium. And we just have to go through the description and technically see. But these do look pretty nice in person. Superman cards. Munsters. Davy Crockett. I just got card number 1 recently. It was at a card show. Bell Brand Crusader. I talked about this in one of the eBay sales series, which I'm going to do these again. I do apologize. I've just been so busy. I think someone said these are some of the first cartoon cards from a TV show. $6.90. I can't remember if these were cheap or expensive. Bucktrot Inventors. There's actually quite a few sets that reuse this imagery over here. An 8 from that Franklin's really nice though. Oh, that looks like Paper Loss. I don't know. Either way, very strong on that side of things. I do have this card over here. I think mine is a 3 though, or it's a 4. I can't remember. But I do have this Grant. This sold for $630. Pretty strong sale. I would think a 2 or 3. I think I paid about $300 or $400 for mine. I could be wrong, but I want to say this is one of the highest sales of this Grant, and I want to check real quick. All right, well, apparently there's no public sales, but I'm pretty sure this has sold before. Either way, $600 on that example. Push-pull, Ruth Gehrig, George Washington, Uncle Sam. Top Scoops. This seems very cheap for a full set. $630. We're talking about $4 a card. And what we have Owens is a 4. We have Babe Ruth over here. Dempsey. Yeah, that might have been cheap. I mean, you have also the Ben Hogan too. Wish I had a little bit more time to prep for this auction. I didn't do my research before. Unfortunately, a very busy past few weeks. This was another one that I almost bid on over here. So I have this Grover Cleveland, Jefferson Davis. He was technically the president of the South when they seceded. Tilden, and then you also have Garfield over here, and $420. I think that's kind of cheap for this. I would feel like each of these 3 presidents over here would command at least $200 a piece. No, it's an A. I guess it depends also on the back. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's a little bit of cheap. I think someone could have made a little bit on that. Or did well if they're keeping it for their PC, which I'd prefer you keep PC and then upgrade over time. But I've never been to leathers, like this side of things. Never been to them, I should say. Cabinet cards. Ooh. That's cheap. 1948 Kellogg's Pep. This may have Sam Snead, I want to say, in there. Does this have the mic in? Oh no, this is a includes Sam Snead. Yeah, I'm thinking of another 48 set that has the mic in. I need, oh yeah, there you go, missing George Mikan for completion. So I was right. I was gonna say if it had the Mikan in there for $360, that's a steal. I mean the Pep itself, golfing wise, I think is like a $200 card. And obviously there's some football Hall of Famers in there. I don't know what those sell for, but not a bad buy for someone on that side of things. This is a classic card. I'm hesitant on buying it right now, but this is such a cool card. Between having Duke over here, you have Earhart. Who else do you have? Douglas Fairbanks, Pavo Nurmi. So I don't know who Jonath is, but I know everyone else, right? So Duke, very famous surfer. Earhart, obviously for the plains side of things. Pavo Nurmi, one of the greatest runners of all time. I'd classify him top 5, even a top 10 Olympian of all time. Just how good he was. He was so good they kind of kicked him out of the Olympics. They didn't call him an amateur competition at the time. Fairbanks being the famous actor, you can see him over there. And I don't know who the last person is, but like full of stars. And I think it's an iconic card. The only thing that scares me sometimes is a lot of German cards pop up overnight when cards go up in value. So, and I know Reemsta isn't the scarcest set or series in general, just from other different releases that I've seen with it. So I do expect a lot of these to still be out there. I don't know what shape though. So that is the REA non-sports recap for December. If you picked up anything at the auction, it doesn't even have to be particularly non-sports. Make sure to put it down below in the comments. Also, we're going to be putting some of our baseball pre-war cards and I think a few other like boxing and wrestling cards within a REI auction in January. Just some stuff that we haven't really been able to move since picking it up at card shows. So I'll make sure to put that in the recap for that next auction and whatever one it goes into. Anyways, I'll see you guys in another video.